Okay guys, so in this one we're going to make our Django admin be a little bit better functioning for us so we can just work a little bit smarter. Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the way things are displayed in here. I want it to show more information about each instance. I don't want just the Unicode. That's actually kind of boring and it doesn't really do a whole lot for me. So let's actually open up our admin.py file. And in here I'm going to do class product admin, and it's going to take admin.modeladmin, and it's class meta model equals to product. Alright, so I'm naming it the model, right, the model, and then I'm naming it admin, just like what we see here, model admin, so it's model and then admin, so my model is product, and it's the product admin. So now that I have that, I want to register it into the admin site with this. So I just added it at the end. So now I can actually make edits to the admin. So if I save it here and go in and refresh, nothing changed. So now I'm actually going to make it so we can actually see a better list. So I'll use list display, and I'm just going to do title, price, active, and update it. So those are the different fields. So if I look at my models, it's the different fields that are in here. Another one you could use, instead of title, you could just use Unicode. I'll just show both of them so you can see. And I do a refresh in here. Now I've got a little bit better data. So I can see that, oh, hey, there's the Unicode and then there's the title. Well, if I get rid of the Unicode, the main thing that you'll notice is product will go away and it'll say title. So save this and refresh. Get rid of that ordering thing. So we see title, and now it's all the titles, and then updated is the actual time that it was updated last in the time zone of UTC. So if we go into settings, we'll see it's going off of this time zone right here, and that is what you'll see. So it might not be actually the time zone you're working with. So if you actually wanted to change that time zone, let's actually go ahead and do that. What you need to do is pip install pytz, and that stands for Python time zone. So once you have that installed, we can jump into Python and import pytz. And then if we want to see all of the time zones, we can do pytz.all time zones. And that gives us a list of everything. It's not really that clean, so let's actually do it. So for items in pytz.all time zones, print items. Alright, so now we see all the list of time zones. There's a ton of them in here, so go ahead and pick one. Mine is, I'm going to do US Pacific, change this to that, and now in the time, if I actually exit out of Python and then run the server, do a refresh, I see that now it's giving me the time zones that are accurate. Right, so that's the accurate time zone as far as when it was actually updated, which was like just shortly ago. So if we want to see that in action, I'll just add a new product. So new product and new product, and I save it. Now I see that, hey, it was just last updated was actually when it was added. So that's perfect. That's what we want to see. All right, so what if we wanted it to be searchable? So if we want to actually be able to find things inside of our admin. So inside of like instances that match some type of thing. So all we have to do is add search fields, and we're going to make a list of it. So I'm just going to add title and description. All right, so if I go back in here and do a refresh, I now have this search button here. So new product, I could search, let's search out product. And I see new product, and this is the title. So if I click on that, we see the description has product in it too. So perfect, that's what we want to see. And another thing to note is it added this little attribute onto our URL, so we can get rid of that, and that takes the search away. So that's nice. It allows us to search, and there is a way to search foreign keys. So once we get to that, we will talk about that too. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. We will come back. So now that we have this, well, I can search things, but I can't really change anything in bulk, right? If I wanted to be able to change the price of this one and the price of this one, I really couldn't as it is now without actually clicking on it. So it's also easy to change. Since it's in list display, so it's in this list, I can actually edit it. So list editable, and we can do price and active. All right, so I come back in here and I refresh, and now I can actually change the price on any of these, and I can change whether or not it's active, hit save, and we see that now it's inactive. And if I sort it by updated, I will see, oh, the most recent updated were these two, and they were updated at the same time. That's great. So that's what I kind of wanted to see. I wanted to see the ability to actually edit things in real time. And I would recommend, if you wanted to do this, you would want to keep it on something simple like price and active. If it's something long like description, I would leave that in the actual instance itself. I wouldn't actually edit it in here or even display it in here, because it just adds too much data and it gets really jumbled and kind of crowded. All right, so now what if I wanted to filter things by a certain type of filter? So like I want to see all the things that are priced at $29.99 and then all the things that are $39.99 and so on. We can just add a list filter here, and I'm going to do it by price, and we can also do it by active. So if I refresh in here, I now see that I have two filters that I can do it by active and price. So if it's not active, it's only going to show that. And if I do a price, it's going to show $29.99 that is not active, $29.99 that is active. Here's two of them. So it will make it easy for me to, oh, okay, now I want to do $21.99. Save it, and it gives me that new filter. And there you go. So you can actually play around with filters that way. It's pretty nice that we can check that. So if I do product and then I do filter, we also have product and filter. So it's working those two things in together, which is also pretty cool. Makes it a little bit easier on us when we actually want to make changes if we have a lot of products. If you don't have that many products, the filter and search won't be that big of a deal, because if you only have like 10 products or 2 products, you won't need those things, so you won't even need to add it into your admin. And I would suggest you don't add it if you only have a few products. There's really no reason to add too much stuff if you don't need it. Okay, so now that we have this stuff, I want to add one more thing, is a date hierarchy. So at the very top, we want to add like a filter up here, basically, that would separate our different models based on a date. So date hierarchy, and I'm going to set it as timestamp. You can also use updated, but it does have to be either a date model, but likely it's a date and time model to get the best accurate. So date time field, not model, but date time field of either, we'll do timestamp or updated. In this case, I did timestamp, so you can also do updated. Just leave that in there as a note. So if I refresh in here, I see that I can actually click on different days, and it'll now show me that stuff, right? And I can even go to a different year or even all dates. So if you have products that are super old and you want to reference them again, and maybe they're super old and inactive, but they're still in your database, that's something that you'd be able to do. All right, so now that we have that stuff, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and that would be read-only fields. So read-only fields, read-only fields. And we are going to say add in updated and timestamp. I'm actually going to comment it out for a second so we can look into our model, and we notice that, hey, it has title, description, price, and slug. It doesn't have an active. It doesn't have timestamp and updated. So if we add these read-only fields and we refresh it in here, we can actually see those because they're really read-only. And the reason they're read-only and that we can't change them is because we have these auto on here. So if these were two false ones, then it would have came in as a field by default. So that's another thing to note. So yeah. And then to make it a little bit smarter for us, we can also do pre-populated fields. So this is going to basically add fields based on what we're typing for another field. So in this case, I'm going to do it with slug. So slug, and it's going to be equal to a title tuple with a title. So the slug is going to be pre-populated based off of the title. So let's see that in action. If I add a new product, I say new product is here. Notice that it's also typing the slug part out for me, and it escapes things that shouldn't be in a slug, like is. So it actually makes the slug a little bit better for me. Notice that updated and timestamp say none, and that's because they're not existing yet. So once I hit save, and I go to new product is here, it shows the timestamp, and it also made the slug for me, which is perfect. So that's a little bit of Django admin customization for any particular model. Again, we will revisit this later when we have to do other types of changes. But for now, that's a good start. So let me know if you have any questions on this. Otherwise, let's keep going.